Thank you everyone on the line for joining us for today's webinar. It's really great to see such a strong interest in this topic. So the Community Resilience Program is a pilot program to help people living in underserved communities safely access the outdoors during the COVID-19 pandemic. At the start of the pandemic, it was immediately apparent that people living in underserved neighborhoods, which also happened to be COVID-19 hotspots, were fearful. So they were afraid to venture outside of their apartments, and the fear was increasing their social isolation and putting them at greater risk for experiencing more profound physical and mental health challenges. For the pilot, Parks people identified 5 underserved communities in Toronto that were in need of support to help community members get outside safely. So these 5 communities were Scarborough East, Agincourt, Flemingdon Park, Rexdale, and Scarlet Woods. And a park animator was hired in each of the 5 communities, and we have 2 of them on the line today. First, we have Hanbo Gia, who's a park animator in the Agincourt neighborhood in North Scarborough. As a volunteer, Hanbo coordinates the Friends of Beverly Glen Park. North Scarborough has a large Asian population, and Hanbo specializes in working with this largely Mandarin-speaking population. Hanbo has stellar community engagement skills and is able to engage hundreds of people in park programming. She works with a vulnerable population and also knows the importance of getting them outdoors. Abdul Rashid Athar is a community lead and park animator for Park People, and he works in the Flemingdon Park neighborhood. He's a retired corporate banker, a resident of Flemingdon Park for 20 years, and he's passionate about serving the community. He's associated with a number of nonprofit organizations like Flemingdon Community Support Services, Engaged Communities, Friends of Flemingdon, and Sherborne Health. He's been involved in many initiatives aimed at reducing youth violence, increasing awareness about physical and mental health, food security, civic engagement, and animating parks and green spaces. So I'll leave the introductions at that for now and let the animators themselves talk a little bit more about the work they do in parks shortly. But I'd also like to introduce Reiko Emma. Reiko has been leading this program. She's a program coordinator at Park People, who first supported our Sparking Change program as a co-op student while still in George Brown's community worker program. She's been involved in community engagement and development as the youth leader for Soka Gakkai International Canada for over 10 years and has a passion for empowering communities. She believes that building resilience and ownership within local communities is the strong foundation for positive change in our society. Reiko, let's start with you. Could you share a little bit about how the Community Resilience Project began?
Thank you, Stephanie, for great introductions. I'm happy to be shared to this project. First of all, I just wanted to say, as Stephanie mentioned, that I studied as a supporting Sparking Change group that also working with underserved community. So I'm working with underserved community since last September as a co-op student. And then this July, this community resilience came up. I appointed as a new program coordinator. I really appreciate it for people. So that time was like July was just, we had like 4 months of like pandemic quarantine time, people stuck home. And also that time was like really people acknowledge the value of park and the public spaces. So as I think everybody noticed that like at around June and July, people start getting out to the park. I just wanted to share some pictures. I think most of you already have seen the pictures. This is the Trinity Better parks that the people like overly, like hugely getting out, and they don't really have much physical distancing practice. It became issue, and then they put the circles to maintain the physical distancing. So in the downtown parks was like really well used. But on the other hand, like when I working with animators, they sending pictures on our WhatsApp group chat, and we realized nobody outside, even though they're beautiful space they have, but not really going outside. So that's like one thing I wanted to highlight, that the COVID-19 highlighted the inequality in the public use space. And also the barrier is not just only because they are in COVID-19 hotspots, but also the underserved community. They already been dealing with various issues such as safety issues related to the violence, or they have other high priorities to dealing with the poverty and food justice. Like it's already they've been going through, but this COVID-19 really highlighted the issues that become more barriers to not people going outside, because one of the fear also, they're not really even thinking about going outside for like their mental health or physical health. So these experiencing increased the risk of high stress, anxiety, social isolations, and related to mental and physical health challenges for them. When we had the generous funding from the Balsam Foundation, so we hired 5 community park animators. As Stephanie mentioned, I just wanted to quickly show the map. We had 5 different communities from across the Toronto. We're going to hear more from Abdul and Hambo there, what they actually did. I just wanted to give also little highlights. So, oh, sorry, I need to go back. In the summertime, we had, so it was in the stage 2 at the beginning, but when we got to the August, it became stage, so we could have a little bit option to do the programming. But also it was a little hard to think about making sure for the safety. At the same time, we wanted to maximize the impact. It was like a really challenging for us to think out of the box, to really creating from like a new idea with like a new norms. So it was really challenging. But since our project started, we have met every week, and we really planned together, even though it was a short time. They had launched a community-based project to encourage people to outside, and based on the specific fears and issues and barriers to their communities. And the community resilience project was powered with animators' boundless compassion, also passion and energy and leadership skills to bring their community together and activate their park space safely. So as a result, in the summertime, they did a lot of different activities like yoga in the park, African drumming, tree care project, and snap photo contest in the park. Over the course of the 6-week pilot project in summer, 680 people spent an average of 6 hours in a week in outdoor spaces. Also, we continue to project in the fall. I just wanted to highlight that we had a little pushback because increase in new cases for the COVID-19, and we had a little restriction from for the safety measures. Although despite that challenges, we did the Fall Fest. So 180 people attended 2 online events from 32 communities, and 10 communities held their own events in outdoors. And then we also had the total 20 pumpkin events last 2 weeks of October. So because of the challenge with the second wave, it was like some people felt isolated again. Also, they felt the issue again. But also, this event brings to people and the community, they recognize the importance of sense of community, also the power of community. And this achievement motivates the community to continue engage park programming even winter time. So this is my brief introduction of this project. Thank you.
Thanks, Reiko. It's really great just to see those numbers, and it's just incredible how many people you were able to engage through the 5 community animators. So I'd like to have each of the community animators share a bit more about their projects before diving into some discussion. Could each of you, Abdul and Hambo, briefly describe your experience working in your community's park prior to your engagement with park people, as well as your experience leading programs in your communities and public spaces through the Community Resilience Project? Abdul, we'll start with you.
Thank you very much, Stephanie, for the introduction. I'm pleased to be able to share my experience here. Well, my love affair with outdoors started long time back for the morning walks. when I used to go with my father, and I was only 8 years old. I remember I was struggling at that time, uh, running behind him on on a canal's banks, which was there in our city. And I have lived in 6 cities across Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, Dubai, and Canada. And for the last 20 years, I have been living here in Flemingdon Park. Wherever I have lived, I always found parks around me where I could go and have my morning walks. And I'm so fortunate to be living here in Flemingdon Park, where E.T. Seaton Park, Wilkett Creek Park, Sunnybrook Park, and Edward Gardens. Beautiful spaces, ravine, it's all just walking distance from my home. I'm so fortunate about it. As a park animator for Flemingdon Park, I have been able to organize a family fun day, 2 ravine walks, a nature walk, 3 light exercises sessions, and a virtual pumpkin carving and pumpkin parade. However, the hallmark of our project has been Steps Challenge walking contest. I'll tell you a little bit more about it, because when we started, I think Reiko has already dwelled upon it, the sort of fear that people were living in because of COVID-19. They were afraid to step out of their homes. It was having an impact on the physical and mental health of the people, and the community that I am living in, which is a low income community, and most of the people, they are living in high-rise buildings. So it was really a challenge for us to come out with some program where people, they not only feel comfortable to go out, but also make it a sort of fun and exciting for the people, and also engage as many people as possible in it. Because at that time we were in phase 3, and there was a cap of having not more than 10 people in outside gatherings. So that's why we started thinking out of the box, and we came up with this idea to form 5 groups online using various social media platforms like Facebook and WhatsApp. So what I did was I approached 5 of our community leaders, talked to them, and then we started forming these groups. And guess what? Within a couple of days, we had 138 people enrolled in these groups. And then we came out with a program. We said, okay, all participants, they have to download a steps counting app, which are free apps available on their phones. And every week, the number of steps that they have walked, they should share it with each group. And each group had more than 25 participants. So whoever would have walked more steps will be awarded with a gift card. So we sort of incentivized it for the people to walk more. And yeah, so people, they started walking, and also they started sharing their pictures. They started exploring new places that they had never been before, although we are living close to those places. And it was really fun. You can see some of the pictures here. Well, these are not about this initiative, but about the events that we held, and about the positive impact upon the people and the results of this. I think I'll dwell on this later during our question and answer sessions. And I'll pass it on now to Hanbo.
Thank you. So thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to the introduction. So 6 years ago, there was a history of using props in my community. as there are a large number of people were newcomers. So in 2013, when I had a chance to volunteer for the very first community event in the park, and the event had a great turnout, only then did I realize that parks could be a great platform where people from diverse backgrounds were engaged, got together and built a social network, thus bridging social isolation and enhancing mutual understanding. Since then, I've been working in partnership with people. It's been over 6 years. I heard about, the Community Resilient Project and learned about, the goals of the project. I believe that it could be a good fit for my community. I remember clearly that, at that time, my community were so terrified of COVID-19 and hadn't left their homes since March. And so people were socially isolated and they just, so when they just had been following the public health guidelines, I was so nervous and anxious and had no idea how to start in the conversation with the community. But also I knew that how important getting outdoor activities are to the vulnerable people and also the people in the underserved communities. So I reach out to the local 8 group leaders and try to convince them that getting outdoor is so important for our long-term mental and physical health. So for this project, I put in a lot more effort in terms of the community outreach and engagement. But my effort was paid off well. So I worked with the eight community group leaders, and together we engaged over 320 residents to participate in this project. And so each of the group leaders hosted their own events ranging from nature walk, Tai Chi, drumming, dancing, yoga, and etc. In small groups or on their own. And we also hosted the pumping, we also hosted the Arsena Parks with Shadowland Theater in the local park, as people were craving to have outdoor programming. Also, just a couple of weeks ago, we hosted a pumpkin parade, a pumpkin giveaway, and give away over 50 pumpkins to the community. And a week after, we also did a pumpkin parade. Thank you.
Thank you both. So let's start a bit of a deeper conversation about your experiences in engaging your communities outdoors during the COVID-19 crisis, and of course, starting with some of the positives. Abdul and Hambo, could you each highlight in each of your communities and events what worked well for your programs, and what were the key positive highlights that you can share with us?
Thank you, Stephanie. Our STEPS Challenge walking program, it was a tremendous success beyond what we had expected. I'm so grateful for that and so happy to report that. You see, we had 5 groups, as I said earlier. We had 138 people going out on walks. And it was a pilot project and was supposed to start at the beginning of August, on 3rd of August till 30th of August. And in 4 weeks' time, these people, they had walked 23.4 million steps and had covered a distance of 17,900 kilometers, which is like distance between Toronto and Cairo in Egypt. Like I visit Cairo, I go there to the museum and come back. Then I would have covered the 18,000 kilometers. So it was like a huge success. And also the people, they started spending more time outdoors, going out more frequently, walking an extra mile, uh, reporting positive impact on their physical and mental health, sharing uh, health tips, breakfast and dinner recipes within the group, telling about what they had seen while walking beside the ravine, or sharing beautiful pictures in the group. They made new friends. Of course, if I tell you the feedback that we received, I'll share the feedback from one of the participants only because of the constraint of time. Uh, she said, I am indebted for being included in this group. After joining this, I'm so mindful about going for a walk and green spaces around me. Please continue this excellent initiative, as our collective steps are having an imprint on the lifestyle of our community. Not only this, we had really wonderful feedback from the people. And also, because our funding from the Balsam Foundation was for this pilot project only, this initiative, it got reported in the Daily Globe and Mail. It was covered by one of their articles, where they have a Stepping Up series reporting about Canadians who have really made an impact on the life of others. So I was really very happy about that. So this sort of attention when we got, and not only based on that, but also because we have been able to form partnerships with our community agencies. So TNO stepped in and they said, we will be happy to finance it for another 4 weeks. So we extended it for another 4 weeks. And then we had received some extra funding with Park people. And now this program is running into 13th week. And I'm really so happy about it, that it has had this much impact on the community that I've been working in. And this is going to run in another 4 weeks. And I hope that by the end of 4 weeks, we would have, our people would have collectively walked around 40,000 kilometers, which is like we have done one round of our Mother Earth. So I'm really very glad about that. So over to Hanbo.
Thank you. So one of the highlights was that there is a network of leaders that I tapped into. So actually, for this project, I reached out to the 8 group leaders and had several rounds of community consultation to find out what they what it would be like, and what to find if there's any engagement that would be working in the community, and if people would get out and what it take to get them out. So I have received a lot of valuable feedback from those group leaders, and based on those information, I worked closely with the community leaders to create the project in my community. And also, it is worth mentioning that during the pandemic, so I used the WeChat, which is similar to WhatsApp, and the phone calls to keep in touch with the group leaders. And those group leaders use WeChat to keep connected with their followers. And so I give, I just want to mention that, it is very important to give the group leaders a sense of ownership and empowerment to build up their capacity. The second highlight is that incentives. Incentives are very, very crucial in my community to get people out to participate in once a week programming for 2 months. But the community went above and beyond. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you both. Reiko, you supported the 5 community animators in hosting events and programs this summer. What inspired you most about the work the community animators were doing?
I would say their passion and a dedication to the community development, because it was not an easy time, and they are really putting a lot of ideas together, a lot of effort together to bring communities. And they're really showcasing the power of the community in this difficult time, and also the resilience. That's actually this really captures the name of our project. So that's mostly inspiration for me.
Great. I absolutely agree that this has been such an inspiring program. The community animators have all shared their experiences with the entire Park People staff in one of our staff meetings. And it was absolutely incredible to hear what they've been able to accomplish in such a short time frame. Abdul, what was your biggest challenge in hosting your community resilience event, and especially during COVID-19? What sort of challenges did you face?
Thank you, Stephanie. As we have mentioned earlier, I think fear of COVID-19, which prevented people from going out, was the top challenge for us. So that's why we, when we started thinking about what will work in our community, we came up with a program where we don't have to bring people out and tell them to assemble at one place. And also when you are holding an event, what happens is there are time constraints. People, they are busy and they cannot join it. So some won't be able to join. So we thought, let us come up with a program where people, first of all, they don't have a fear that they are going to be in a crowd because of COVID-19. They won't feel comfortable with that, but they can go out at their own time and convenience. So this is how we met this challenge. And then the second challenge that we faced was the technology challenge, because the program that we came out with was, it required people to download steps counting apps on their phones and then share the steps that they would have walked. And in that respect, our community leaders, I'm so proud of them. All of them, they worked so hard and they managed their groups so well, kept on motivating them, inspiring them with the beautiful messages and videos and photographs. So they explained it to them as to how to download these apps and how to use them and how to share their screen with screenshots within the group. So this is how we handled this. Also during the program, we found out that even in these apps, there are certain flaws. So if you keep on like shaking your phone, it will add up to your steps. So we saw some sort of, not on a large scale, but just maybe 1 or 2 cases where the people, they reported like 190,000 steps during 1 week. And the other participants were a little bit skeptical that it's not easy to have walked that much steps. But overall, I think it was great. Another challenge was that in each group, there were 2 or 3 top contenders for the prize. The rest, they thought that they are not going to win the prize anyway, because they were not working as much as those 2, 3 top people. So maintaining a tempo among those who were not among the top contenders was also a little bit of a challenge. But then when they felt positive impacts upon their physical and mental health, and it was for their own good. So not everybody was there to get a prize, but the prize itself was the positive impact that the people were feeling upon their health. So it really kept them going. And that's why, because of these, we have also been reviewing and refining the sort of rules which are governing this contest. So in the following 4 weeks period, we have been rewarding people based on the draws. But also there was some requirement of minimum steps, which is 30,000 steps they should have walked during the week in order to qualify to be included in the draw. So yeah, these were some of the challenges that we faced during this. Over to Andy.
Thank you. So the biggest challenge for me was that how to encourage people to get out for events while following the public health guidelines and ensuring each participant was safe and had fun. So it involved a lot more work and stress than expected for me. Yeah, thank you.
And just to sort of expand on some of the things both Abdul and Hambo have been talking about, you each mentioned using community leaders to help with your programs. How did you sort of approach these community leaders and know sort of who to contact in each of your communities? I don't know if you just want to touch on that briefly, starting with Abdul.
Yeah, thank you, Stephanie. The community leaders that I engaged, they were previously known to me because I was not new to the community. So I have been working here for the last many years. And most of these community leaders, we have even earlier worked in collaboration. So it wasn't that difficult. But I think this was something which helped us a lot, not only in having our message getting across to the larger community, because each of these community leaders, they know a number of people that they have been serving within the community. So it wasn't that really difficult for me, because I have been in touch with them and also working with them. But also they have done a phenomenal job in terms of not only getting people enrolled in this program, but as I said earlier, motivating them and guiding them through the process. Over to Henry.
Thank you. So I established the relationship with the first group leader 6 years ago. And that group leader helped me and introduced me to the other group leader. And that way I got to know, for the past 6 years, I got to know quite a few group leaders. And it is important, to expand and keep that relationship. So, I've been keeping in touch with the group leaders from time to time. And so we're just touching base with each other on the regular basis. So that's why we have built, a long-term relationship. So, when we work together and we know each other very well, we know that, we know the strength and the weakness of each person. So when we work together, we are very good team. And I think that's a great piece that I learned from the past experience.
Great. Yeah, we're really seeing some strong networks of community leaders working together in each of these communities. It's awesome to see. And as a reminder for everyone on the line, please use the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen to ask any questions you might have to the panelists. And over to Reiko, you saw the community animators go through challenges and obstacles in hosting their events and programs. If you could highlight one of these challenges that you saw, maybe with some of the other community animators, how did they overcome this challenge?
Yes, so I think it's coming out the idea for each communities because different, and the coming out the idea was, I think, a first step of the big challenge, because like there's no like silver bullets to solve like working for all communities. So also it was like kind of very short time to really planning everything for very new ideas. So it was very challenging. And for example, I suggested to like some other community animators were struggling, what do I do for this time? And then she was kind of struggling to coming up the idea itself. And then we suggested to, why don't we do the walking like the Abdul doing? Because it seems to be safe for individual doing, but also they have some like networking. I thought that we think it's a great idea for them, but I realized like they're more they're not really used to going like walking in the nature, even though they have beautiful ravines. So they're not used to those habits. So then like it's not working. Every community is very different. So what was the kind of where we came out is that we really need to support to about the community-based project, so that they know how to align with their needs or their interest in the community, so that we can bring out to the more specific addressed project. So for example, one of the community leaders from the Scarlet Wood, so she was the one really struggling for the coming idea, but she knows because her community was really struggling with like a gun violence and for the safety issues. And then she saw that the healing piece is really huge for her community. So she brought her community to the yoga instructor. So she did like a small, I think about 20 people they came, and then they do the yoga class, remain keeping social distancing. It was really great, and they really liked it. So that's one of the highlights by the community, for the community. The community-based project was like really key for design project for this community project, resilience project. Thank you.
Thanks, Reiko. And in the Q&A section, we actually had a question come in that would be great for you to answer, Reiko, as the program coordinator for the Community Resilience Project. They've asked, could you provide a little bit more information on the sort of overall structure of the pilot program? So for example, what's the structure for paying animators, and how is the pilot project being evaluated? So how do we know it's successful?
Okay. So the way we came at this project is just really came at the quickly. Like we didn't really have like a project goal very clearly, but what we know is we wanted to encourage people to get outside, and also how we can maximize the impact, means how much people can encourage to being going outside. So the overall the structure was basically we aim to have some sort of initiative, like a Humble and Abdul did. We contact the community groups or individual community members, encourage them to go outside. The other community leader did design for like a photo contest. So like they individually go outside to make sure they are not going for the groups. But at the same time, they do regularly go outside to take photos, post on Instagram, so they still communicate. So we kind of structure to design, they can do something individually to encourage them to go outside, but also we have funding. So we sort of either giving some incentive as like a competitions. So we kind of that put the structured to, because it had time for them to go outside, not just for just going outside is not easy. So just we also make sure that some kind of reward they can get, and also make sure the community leaders get also honorariums. So we get paid from animators as this funding allocate to the community animators to get paid as a job, but also we give the honorarium for the community leader work with together. Also some participants had an incentive as a reward, either have some prizes that they work hard for that goals. And how we evaluated was, so we wanted to get, like, first of all, the data was a number of participants, how many people went outside, and also how many hours they spend, how many perks. So we did the survey to get those numbers. But also this is very important to see how helpful this project to encourage some people outside. So we also get a lot of quotes to more like a quantitative values we really also focusing. So we talk to community leaders to get some quotes from participants. That's how we did for the evaluations. I hope it helps to answer that question.
Absolutely. Thanks for clarifying that. And of course, everyone has winter on their minds. We know that getting outdoors during winter is a challenge for everyone, and there's certainly additional barriers for underserved communities. But we also know that getting outdoors this year is going to be more important than ever, especially for physical and mental health. With winter approaching, how do each of you hope to get your communities outdoors and engaging with nature in a safe way? Starting with Abdul.
Thank you very much, Stephanie. I think the STEPS challenge program that is still ongoing, this has not only engaged a large number of people, but also sort of made them addicted to walking, if I would say. According to a 2009 study published in the European Journal of Psychology, it takes from 18 to 254 days for a person to form a new habit. And these people now, they have been going out for around 13 weeks. So I would think that for most of them now, going out has become a habit. It was a habit for me, and I'll tell you something interesting. As I said, I'm an avid walker. In July this year, I got a badge, which is Sahara Badge, from the watch that I'm wearing for keeping record of my walking and then sleeping and other activities. So what is Sahara Badge? Sahara Badge is when I had completed walking 4,800 kilometers in July, starting in April last year. So I thought that getting this badge for myself is not that important, but getting similar badges for the people of my community, this is what would matter. So when I got an opportunity to work with park people, I also got an opportunity to realize my dream. And I'm really so happy about that. So going into winter, we have already checked our community leaders within their groups, and most of the people, they are prepared to continue walking even during winter. I would say not all of them, but most of them. I know there will be challenges, not only the severe weather, but also because the sidewalks, if there is snow, the sidewalks are not cleaned in a timely manner. If we go to the parks, city has already announced that the public washrooms won't be open during winter, If we want to have a campfire, the permits are not going to be issued by the city. But despite those obstacles, I'm sure that we would be able to continue with our program. We have requested our group participants, so when they go out, they should continue taking pictures, sharing it within the groups. They can also look at any of the issues like littering, like walkways not cleaned, or any such issues. And those can be highlighted in those pictures also within the group. And we can take those issues also with the respective authorities. So this will help us in advocacy as well. And also, we are thinking of having a celebration event in mid-December uh, for the project that we have had, and we have had tremendous success. And I'm hopeful that we should be able to organize that. Thank you, and over to him.
Thank you. So traditionally, people don't get out to do some outdoor activities in winter. I would like to gather myself to practice some winter activities first. And also, I would like to definitely continue to work with the group leaders and to see if we can figure out, we can come up with some ideas. For example, some summer programming could be adjusted to winter programming. We can do Tai Chi, walking, nature walk, or dancing in the park if weather permitting in winter time. Also, we were thinking to start with a very, very small group. That small group will motivate, influence, and attract more people to join us. And also, I think that the incentives are very, very crucial, and it is they're always working very well in my community. So we're going to provide incentives to participants and motivate them to participate in the winter program. So safety is very, very important. So we will just continue to follow public health guidelines, wearing masks, washing hands, and practicing social distance to make sure that everyone is safe. Thank you.
Perfect. And just being mindful of time, I'd like to wrap up our discussion today. If I could get each of you to share a concluding comment to add or highlight anything you think is really important to remember and for folks on the line to take away, or if you could give one piece of advice to someone who's thinking about hosting a park event or program in their community, if you could just share a 30-second quick wrapping up comment, that'd be great. Let's start with you, Reiko, this time, and then Abdul and Hanbo to finish.
Thank you so much. I would say again, like this is, I would say highlighting the point is community-based program that designed by the community, also for the community, that align with their needs or interests. That's, I think, a very crucial key point. But also I realize other things that even though it's very, very small, but it's just getting started something small is also important, especially this COVID time. You don't want to get a lot of people outside, but to making more regular basis, some small events is very, very helpful to community to acknowledge what's going on, and then they also encourage to participate. Thank you.
Abdul?
Yeah, I would think that building relationships with the community leaders, and community agencies is very, very important. Because when you engage the community leaders in a program, and also when you have collaboration of the agencies, and you don't get collaboration of the agencies overnight, you have to build a relationship with them over time. Like when GNO, they financed 4 weeks of STEPS Challenge program, it was all done, but I continue to be engaged with them. I'm still reporting what I'm doing, what are the results, And this is how you build the relationship. And at that time, it was not only TNO, but Flemingdon Health Center also. They had told me that if I don't get the funding from TNO, they were happy to step in too. So I would say building relationships is very, very important. Over to him.
Thank you. Our top advice is that, don't try to do all the work yourself, and look for others in the community who already have network and partner with them. Incentives work very well in my community, and find out what works well in yours. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Reiko, Hanbo, and Abdul, for all of your incredible work with the Community Resilience Program. I know that sharing your experiences with everyone on the line has been incredibly inspiring and motivating, and we're so grateful and inspired by the animations you've provided for your local communities. And the same goes for the community animators who we don't have on the line today. Anisha, Sharon, and Isaac have all been incredible for the communities, and we look forward to the work they do in the future.